Hello everyone, Dark of All Trades here. Have you ever tried arguing with someone about religion and felt like you were playing chess while they were playing checkers? Or maybe you were the one accidentally playing checkers? Well, welcome to Counterapologetics 101, where I'll turn those frustrating circular arguments into actual conversations. I'm going to teach you how to engage with apologetic arguments effectively, whether you're a complete beginner or you've already had a few theological throwdowns. I'm going to cover everything from keeping your cool when someone asks you why you hate God, to spotting logical gaps without needing a PhD in philosophy. This isn't about winning arguments or destroying faith. It's about having meaningful discussions that actually go somewhere. Think of this as your survival guide for theological debates, both online and in the real world. And yes, I'm going to talk about when to engage and when to save your energy for another day. And the best part is that these skills work whether you're dealing with Christian apologetics or any other religious defense. Throughout this video, I'm going to give 3 levels of complexity in a few spots. It will look something like this. Level 1 always represents foundational or entry-level concepts. Level 2 builds on that foundation with intermediate complexity. Level 3 introduces advanced applications or nuanced understanding. So for example, when talking about morals, Level 1 could be, how do you define morality, which is a basic clarification. Level 2 could be, what evidence supports this definition, which is a deeper investigation. And Level 3 would be, how would we distinguish between divine and natural morality, which is a complex analysis. This is helpful for a few reasons. First, it helps prevent overwhelm by clearly marking difficulty. It also provides clear progression paths. It will also allow you learners to self-assess your current level, and it will create and show achievable stepping stones. So this 3-level structure is particularly effective for counterapologetics for 4 reasons. First, it matches common argument complexity patterns. It reflects natural conversation progression, it provides clear markers for skill development, and it helps practitioners gauge when to advance to harder techniques. But that's enough for an intro, so grab your physical or metaphorical notebook. We're about to turn those frustrating debates into productive dialogues. Let's master the core skill that makes counterapologetics effective. Active listening isn't just nodding, it's strategic. When someone says, Jesus must be God because the Bible says so, pause. Instead of jumping into, that's circular, try, help me understand, what convinces you the Bible is reliable? Notice how this simultaneously shows respect while exposing the underlying logic for examination. Reading emotional undercurrents is crucial. Think of it as emotional archaeology. Watch for micro-expressions when challenging core beliefs, like a slight jaw clench or tightened eyes. Notice some posture shifts during authority discussions. They often lean back or cross arms. You can track vocal patterns. Rising pitch often signals defensive territory. These aren't just observations, they're navigational tools for steering the conversation productively. For a logical analysis, here's your precision toolkit. The reality check. What would we expect to see if this were true, or if it were false? The foundation probe. What other things must be true for this to work? Here's an example in action. When someone claims the universe needs a creator because complexity requires design. There's a hidden premise. All complex systems require conscious design. A counterexample would be snowflakes form complex patterns without design. And so you can bring a deeper question of how do we determine what requires a creator? Think of yourself as an investigative journalist rather than a debate opponent. Your questions aren't necessarily weapons. They're tools for collaborative discovery. When someone says, I feel God's presence, respond with genuine curiosity. Could you describe that experience? This opens doors to discussing reliability of personal experience. And a pro tip, practice the 2-minute question rule. Respond only with sincere questions for 2 minutes straight. This builds trust while naturally exposing logical gaps. Remember, good counterapologetics isn't about winning. It's about understanding and guiding others to examine their own reasoning. Welcome to your beginner's arsenal of counterapologetics techniques. Think of this like learning martial arts. You'll start with basic moves that become lightning-fast reflexes. So let's tackle a classic you'll face. Without God, how can you have morality? Watch how we'll dismantle this using the peer method. First, pause. Take a breath and note their tone. Then explore. How do you define morality? Then examine. Listen for assumptions. And finally, reflect. Mirror their language thoughtfully. Here's the secret that most beginners miss. Questions are your superpower. When someone claims Mr. Jesus must have risen from the dead because the disciples wouldn't die for a lie. Unleash your strategic questioning. Level 1. How do we know what the disciples believed? Level 2. What historical evidence do we have for their martyrdom? Level 3. If sincere beliefs meant something was true, what would that mean about other religions' martyrs? Notice how each question digs deeper while maintaining respect. Building confidence isn't about memorizing responses, it's about mastering frameworks. So here's your 3-step confidence builder. The I don't know yet gambit. Turn knowledge gaps into exploration opportunities. The emotion detector. Watch for trigger words that spike emotions. And the bridge builder. Find common ground in unexpected places. Here's an example in action. When someone says, "You need faith to believe in science too," don't argue. Try, "That's interesting. Could you help me understand what you mean by faith?" Now you're not defending science, you're exploring definitions. So a pro tip for emotional management. Create a mental pause button. When emotions rise, watch for raised voices, rapid speech, or absolute statements. Activate it by saying, "That's a fascinating point. Let me make sure I understand completely." This creates space for both parties to breathe. Remember, you're not trying to win Olympic debate gold on day 1. You're building a foundation for countless future conversations. Start small, stay curious, and celebrate the moments when you help someone think differently, even if they don't admit it right away. Think of engagement like a skilled martial artist choosing their matches. Success isn't about fighting every battle. It's about selecting the right ones. For this, we're going to use the ENGAGE framework. First, the environment. Is the environment a conducive setting for discussion? Is there adequate time available? Is it appropriate for the audience who's present? Then necessity. Is there a clear benefit potential? Is there a receptive participant, even if it's not necessarily your conversation partner? Is it a worthwhile investment of energy? Then you're going to gauge emotions. You're going to check your emotional bandwidth. You're going to check their emotional state. And you're going to check the group dynamics. Then you're going to assess good faith. Are there genuine questions being asked? Are the points that are being made acknowledged? And does everybody have a willingness to explore? Then there's green and red flags. Some green flags may be, "I never thought about it that way," or some thoughtful pauses before responses, or questions about your perspective, or acknowledgement of uncertainties. Those are when you should engage. With red flags, you want to disengage if there's rapid-fire argument switching, there's emotional escalation like, "You just hate God," there's circular reasoning loops, and there's personal attacks. Finally, you need an emergency exit strategy. First, you want to validate their position. Then you're going to express appreciation. Then you're going to end professionally. And then you're going to exit the situation. So you want to disengage like a professional. Level 1 is, "This deserves more time than what we have now." Level 2, "Let's pause here and reflect on what we've discussed." And Level 3, "I appreciate your perspective, but I don't think we're making progress today." Remember, choose your battles like a chess master chooses their moves, strategically, purposefully, and with clear objectives. Now we're going to step into the advanced dojo of counterapologetics, where we start the transformation from checkers players into grandmasters of philosophical chess. For this, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you, so take notes. Let's dissect the Kalam cosmological argument, which some consider the philosophical equivalent of a complex puzzle box. Let's go over it very briefly. Premise 1. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2. The universe began to exist. Conclusion. Therefore, the universe has a cause. When someone presents this, we'll use the DEEP method. First, definitions. Challenge the language. What does begin to exist mean without time? How do we define causation outside of spacetime? Then, examine assumptions, like the uniformity of causation across all contexts, or the applicability of temporal logic to atemporal situations, or the leap from a cause to an intelligent cause. Then you'll do your evidence assessment. What would falsify these claims? How could we test these assertions? And finally, you'll look at the philosophical implications. If true, what else must be true? And what contradictions might arise? Master-level pattern recognition is crucial. Think of yourself as a detective reading both evidence and witness behavior. So here are a couple things to help with signal recognition. First, intellectual engagement signals. They'll use precise terminology, they'll use thoughtful phrases, and question consideration. For emotional defense signals, there may be rapid argument switching, there could be appeal to consequences, or personal testimony emphasis. So let's take a look at advanced response framework. When you spot technical arguments, match precision level. When you spot personal experience, validate before exploring. When you see emotional investment, build bridges before you're building those boundaries. Consider the fine-tuning argument. Instead of diving into multiverse theory, try, how do we determine what range of constants would permit life? Or, what would a poorly tuned universe look like? Or even, how do we calculate these probabilities? The Grandmaster's secret: control the conversation's depth, not its direction. When someone says, you can't explain consciousness without God, respond with one of these. Level 1. What aspects of consciousness seem most inexplicable naturally? Level 2. How would divine origin explain these aspects? And level 3. What would differentiate a naturally emerging consciousness from a divinely created one? Remember, advanced counterapologetics isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions than your discussion partner has ever encountered. Think of your counterapologetics journey as building a Mastercrafts person's workshop. Let's stock it with the right tools and knowledge for continued growth. Let's look at the Master's Learning Pyramid. Level 1 is foundational building. Some things you could do would be shadow practice. You could record yourself responding to these common arguments. You could do skill drilling, which is like practicing the pure and depth methods daily. And you can expand your knowledge base, which is building your argument encyclopedia. The second step is advanced training. Feel free to use the simple study matrix. If you want to get into epistemology, you can look into street epistemology, and the application for that would be question building. If you want to get into logic, try using argument mapping, which will help with your fallacy spotting. If you want to focus on psychology, look into cognitive biases, and that'll help you with emotional reading. And level 3 is practical mastery. For this, we're going to use the growth method for continuous improvement. First, you're going to gauge your performance objectively. Then you're going to record and review discussions. Then you're going to observe patterns in arguments. With that, you're going to workshop different responses. From there, you're going to test new approaches, and then harvest insights from each encounter. But everyone needs a common pitfall prevention system. So here are some things to look into. Emotional management. Create a cooling phrase collection. Develop physical anchors like deep breaths or hand placements. And practice the 10-second rule before responding. Look into strategic focus. You can keep an argument journal. You can track success patterns. And you can document new questions that work. And you can develop your resources. Look into premium resources like How to Have Impossible Conversations by Bogosian, or the Street Epistemology Guides. Anthony Magnabosco has an excellent channel to see it in action. Or argument mapping software like Rationale or MindMup. Or philosophy of religion primers. And you should consider a practice partners network. You can find local debate groups. You can join online communities. You can create practice scenarios. And you can share and analyze your recordings. And finally, remember the master's mindset. Every discussion is a data point, not a destination. Your goal isn't to win debates, but to master the art of guided discovery. Think of this moment as standing in your newly equipped workshop, tools gleaming on the wall, and ready for your first masterpiece. So let's review your Counterapologetics toolkit as you chart your path forward. In your core arsenal, you'll have the foundation trinity: your active listening mastery, in which you would question crafting skills, and your emotional radar, and your pattern recognition. Then your strategic engagement, which is the peer method for beginners, the deep method for advanced discussions, and emotional navigation techniques. And then you'll have your growth framework. You'll have your practice protocols, your study pathways, and your community engagement. If you're interested in getting into counterapologetics, and by getting this far I am assuming you are, here's a 30-day plan to get you going. So week 1 is foundation building. Day 1 through 3, practice mindful active listening in daily conversations. In days 4 through 7, record yourself responding to common arguments like the universe needs a creator or morality requires God. In week 2 will be your technique mastery. Master the pause, explore, examine, reflect sequence. Practice emotional calibration. And start with your argument journal. Week 3 is community integration. Join one online discussion group, like my Discord for example. Find one practice partner, and begin weekly practice sessions. Week 4 is your advanced implementation. Handle one complex argument. Review and adjust your techniques, and then plan the next growth phase. Remember the 3 pillars of success. Patience. You're cultivating a garden, not building a wall. Precision. Every question should be purposeful. And progress. Measure growth by understanding, not victories. But here's your emergency kit. Keep these ready. Could you help me understand how you reached that conclusion? That's an interesting perspective. Let's explore that further. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Think of counterapologetics like teaching someone to see the stars. You can't force their eyes to adjust to the darkness, but you can guide them to look up and question what they see. So your journey begins now, not with a debate to win, but with a conversation to start. And the next step is yours. Tonight, choose a technique to practice tomorrow. This week, start an argument journal. This month, have your first intentional discussion. This year, become the guide you wish you had. Remember, every master was once a beginner who just kept showing up. Now, if you like this kind of content, let me know by hitting that like button. Though, speaking of being master rank, I need to give thanks to my patrons, specifically Calaminous Anima and Sora, but don't think the rest of you go unnoticed. Thank you all for your support. And as always, keep learning.